Welcome to the Players Ball podcast for AT Aliens by AT Aliens, hosted by Alex the Great and co-host MB. We bring you raw takes, real debates, and the hottest stories in Atlanta sports. No filters, no fluff, just straight talk from the city that runs the South.
We got traffic incoming, covering all the biggest news in ATL sports, no matter the lane, no matter the highway. Let's get into it with Spaghetti Junction. Yes, sir. We are back. A lot of traffic, a lot of things to discuss, a lot of highways always converging into a single place. So we're going to start with Atlanta United, man. I heard the call, the Mike Conti call with the clinching kick by Latte Lath. It sounded exciting to watch, man. I know you bought your subscription. How did that look in pictures and video?
So I actually didn't see it live. So I turned the game on right after it started. So I missed the opening goal by New York. And then I watched pretty much the remainder of the first half. I turned it off towards the end. Can't remember what I was flipping back and forth to, but it might have been some college basketball. Might have been a little Braves action, since that was Saturday night. But we tied the game up going into halftime, and something that's been kind of a bad spot for this team has been its second half performance. And so second half starts, I turn the game on, and like clockwork, we go down 3-1. I'm like, all right, well, if history is any indication, this game is in the books. So I turned it off. So I didn't see the call live. I will take credit though. Sometimes watching can be a negative curse. So like they needed me not to be watching to play better, and I'll accept that.
Yeah, flush that subscription money down the drain, man. There's no more watching for you.
Yeah, we'll
you quit on the team, man. Let's call it what it is.
We'll have to test the theory out a couple more times before we completely say sayonara to that subscription money. But no, I think it was the first comeback down multiple goals that Atlanta United's completed in they haven't been around all that long, but a long time. Their manager, Ronnie Diallo, was pretty fired up. Just a good game to kind of get some momentum because this team needs it. And it was good to see, Latte Lath has scored another one. I think he's scored in every game we've scored a goal in, which I think is 5 out of 6. And Miggy got his first goal on a header to level the score for his first goal in his return to United. So 3 points will take him. Still undefeated at home, I believe.
It's very early to say that it was such a sound investment for the biggest transfer paid in MLS history, but return don't look so bad right now, man. It looked pretty damn good, actually. So shout out United. Let's keep those winning ways alive, especially away, right? We know that those are one of our struggle areas. So, or were they were at home?
They were at home.
Okay.
But I do think we got our first points on the road recently as well in a draw. So
got it. All right. On another highway, Raheem Morris. I think this is, the talking heads, so we're gonna do it too. But the talking heads making a mountain out of molehill. Raheem Morris missed the NFL coaches. There's an annual picture, the calendar. They had their yearbook picture of the NFL quarterbacks. 31 coaches are there. There's 32 head coaches in the league. Our coach was the coach who missed the photo. Now, I said that he ran into some flight delays due to weather. I ain't seen no bad. I ain't seen no bad weather. Maybe you just didn't want to show up. But did you hear about that? What do you think about that? Is it nothing?
I think it's nothing. I think it's the off season, so every little storyline is going to make the headline. It's silly, right? Like, would it have been better if he was there? Probably. Is it that big of a deal that he wasn't? No, right? Like, how many yearbook photos did you show up for? I think I got a few.
All of them.
I think I got a few yearbooks with a not pictured for you. No,
not a one.
Not a one.
Mildred Sue had me at picture day every year, my brother. So no, I'm in every yearbook. I hope this doesn't happen. I'm just saying it to be funny and facetious, but if like this is his last year being the coach of the Falcons and he's not pictured in the photo, it's like who will remember it?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I do think it's nothing though. I don't think it's a big deal. Especially since it, I guess he had a legitimate reason. He's flying commercial. Peasant. No,
I hope he was just too busy scouting at one of these pro days, and that's why he missed it. But
you would imagine for a picture event, maybe you're there the night before. I don't know. It does seem kind of weird that he missed it, but I don't think it's a foreshadowing or any bad omen.
Yeah, I didn't even know this yearbook existed. They have pictures, I'm sure, for coaches on team websites and, the About Us kind of pages, maybe for the NFL, but who's to say someone with some Photoshop skills and an old picture can't get him brushed in there?
They should actually do that.
Yeah.
So it was the annual NFL coaches meeting, right? So the picture is just a small part of what they were doing. I think one of the bigger points of discussion that I heard about was, the tush push. Advocates and proponents were talking about the tush push, whether it should be outlawed or not. Where do you stand with that? I know we talked about it at one point, but I don't remember what your opinion was on that.
I don't know. I think from a fan's perspective, I think it diminishes the game a little bit, right? In terms of competitiveness. I think it's, and this is an outsider, right? Like, just purely watching the game, it looks like a gimme. I guarantee you the Eagles will fight, will die on the hill saying that it's not as easy as they make it look, and it's skillful. It's a boring play, regardless. It's a boring play. It cheapens the game, I think. And I personally would not be mad if they chose to ban it. But if they don't, they don't. Teams got to learn either how to join them or beat them.
You don't think anybody's tried? I mean, there have been a number of people who tried. The Buffalo Bills tried in the playoffs last year, and they failed, I believe, more than they had success. So replicating it, if it is a given, I think replicating it would cheapen it, right? If everyone could do it, then all right, you need to change it. But it feels like you're punishing the Eagles because they figured out something that no one else can do. So that's why I say, outlawing it would be, I think that's a trash decision. Right?
Cowards
if it was
move.
my team that had figured out something that was within the rules and they took it away because no one could stop it, I'd be pissed. Royally pissed.
I was just thinking about it from like a fan's perspective. I don't think it's entertaining to watch, right? Like, it's like the same.
Eagles fans are bored by it?
No, because winning is never boring. But
neither are first downs. It's just a part of it, right?
I'm just saying, when you think about what's exciting, right? It's that running back breaking that long run or that Hail Mary. It's the whole chicks dig the long ball and the 3-pointer when they're making them kind of mentality. It's just, it's less exciting to sit there and watch Jalen Hurst get his butt pushed across the line a couple inches or a yard for a first down every time.
You got to keep it in that context, right? Like, you're not throwing a Hail Mary on a 3rd and 1.
No, you're not.
It's usually a quarterback sneak, and it doesn't have a rugby scrum to it. It's boring. It's a boring play regardless. Nobody's jumping over the top anymore. I think people were just getting injured, or I don't know why they stopped that. I used to love to see running backs dive over the pile. I thought that was exciting football, but no one's doing that anymore. Anything that they're doing for a 3rd and 1 is kind of boring. So you're not correcting the excitement on that, to me.
I can feel you there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think they'll probably end up banning it just because there's so much pushback. But we'll see if they don't. And I'm a Raheem Morris, I'm calling in some rugby experts to come teach it, because I think I don't know what all these teams are doing. I don't know what the Buffalo Bills have done, but I think that's the missing piece. If you're just trying to take football minds and replicate it, I don't think you'll ever get there. But if you bring in experts, I mean, it's a rugby play.
Mabata is he's not Australian. I think he's a New Zealander, but he was a former rugby player. So they have an experienced man who used to do it, right? So that leads credence to what you're saying. Having a real rugby person teach it.
Yeah, I think that's the only way. That and how to combat it, right? I think you could probably learn a few things from how they defend in a rugby scrum on trying to stop it. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. You want to head up 78?
We can.
Is it 78?
It's 316.
Yeah, you can do 316 or 78. That's right. You can take 78 up there from the east side of Atlanta.
The only way I get to Athens is straight up 316, and it will take you straight into downtown. Or I guess they should call it 316 Motor Speedway or 78 Motor Speedway, because them boys don't know how to slow down. 2 more dogs arrested. One was incoming sophomore or upcoming sophomore Nitro Tuggle. He showed some promise last year. He's a wide receiver out of Indiana. That's where he went to high school.
This is Jesse Tuggle's son?
No. This is non-related to Jesse Tuggle.
Not Grady Jarrett's brother.
No. Complete unrelation.
That's a fake name anyway.
Nitro
Tuggle? That's not his name.
It's not, but I don't remember what his first name is, his legal birth name. But either way, Nitro Tuggle was arrested. Both players were suspended indefinitely. But the scary part about the Nitro incident is he was clocked going, I think, 104 miles an hour.
7.
And so, like, we're not talking about doing 10, 15 over. We're talking about way excess speeds. And after all of the traffic related incidents that players have had up in Athens, you would think that there would be a little bit more caution, a little bit more reservedness, right?
Yeah. Why? If I'm Kirby, I wouldn't even let him drive.
So
he got enough. The program has enough money for these guys to just have to. They can have a car service.
So the interesting thing about it, Kirby spoke. Of course, he was asked 150 questions about it and what they're doing as a program, and do they have a culture problem? The standard interrogations. And he said some of these kids come to college without a license, and as a program, they help them. They help them go through driving schools and maintain their licenses. And I understand, like, that's part of growing into being an adult, unless you're living in a major city, around here, like specifically speaking about my area, if you didn't have the ability to drive, like you don't have the Ubers and the Lyft services that you do. I mean, they exist, don't get me wrong, but the availability is much more limited than it is when you're in a bigger metropolitan area. And so I can see where someone would want to have a license, right? Like it's kind of like an achievement, a stepping stone, somewhat of a need, right? Less of a need, I think, in a town like Athens, but
I'm not even saying to put them in Ubers and Lyfts, right? Ford sponsors the dogs, have a fleet of F-150s that are just driving players where they need to go at all times. And I get the aspect of, getting your driver's license being a step towards adulthood. That's eligible at 16. When you're 20, even if you don't have a license, I'm sure you've driven once or twice. To me, it feels like a cop out a little bit. That you got all these players that get up there. They get, I don't know, what his NIL money looked like or what kind of car he was driving.
Oh, what kind of car do you think he was driving?
F-150.
No, you said it.
What was he driving?
A Charger.
Was he in a Charger?
Yeah.
Almost all of them are in Chargers when that goes down, right? And they got Hellcats and at the minimum a SRT. Right? Why outlaw Hemi engines?
Yeah.
Now that won't stop. I've done 107 and I wasn't in a Hemi, but I also don't have as much to lose as a football player does. A UGA football player,
just like
similar age.
A side nugget on Charger Hellcat. So I got a gift from my wife to do a.
She got you a Hellcat?
No, she got me a driving experience that I actually did last Friday, and it was at Atlanta Motorsports Park in Dawsonville. And so I did the Lamborghini Huracan experience. I got to drive a Lamborghini Huracan on track. But before I got to drive, I did a ride along with a professional driver in a Charger Hellcat wide body. Those things are no joke, bro. Like,
yeah, you wet yourself a little bit?
Nah, never.
What did he top out at?
I think we hit 120 on the back straight.
That's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, professional drivers, right? Like they know what they're doing. But I could see being a 17, 18-year-old kid, stepping into one of those things and just getting into a lot of trouble. And I don't think Kirby was saying that the whole thing about the driver's license as an excuse. He was just trying to say, like, look, this is where we're at. We're in some cases having to start from ground zero and educate and teach and do all these things. We bring in teachers, we get them in, driving schools, we have first responders and all this, stuff that we do to try and educate the team on the risks and how to do things the right way, the smart way, the safe way. And they're still having all these issues. I don't know what the answer is, but I know that there's a lot of heavy discipline happening internally, and you see it with these two players being suspended indefinitely. It was both of their first incidences with any kind of off-field issues.
The optics aren't going to allow for any of that, right? The first incident that really broke the news, 2 people died. It's been it's a thing now. It's a whole thing. It has a life of its own.
It does.
Suspending the 2 players on their first incident, that's the least that he could do. He's gonna have to do more. He doesn't, because he's Kirby Smart. I'm sure the Eagles have a vested interest. The Saints have a vested interest now. I don't know if you heard about that. But yeah, it just feels like the powerful are powerfuling.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because they're semi-professional athletes, right? I mean, they're making a lot of money, but they're still amateurs, and they're young, and they're getting a lot of attention, a lot of money, and with that comes responsibilities that not everyone at 18, I wasn't ready for that kind of responsibility at 17, 18 years old.
How much
And
money were you making? And
not
you say he's a sophomore, right? He's not 17, 18.
he's 19.
And if you can drive 107, it ain't your first day driving. No one's brave enough to do that. I guarantee it.
I mean, I put the pedal to the metal on 85 a time or two when I was 16, 17 driving up to Buford. Now, did I hit 107? I can't recall, but I know I was going in and out of traffic like an idiot. But that's not really the point I was trying to make. The point is the level of scrutiny may not be fair because you or I and anyone else outside of a student athlete, if they had some of these issues, like their livelihoods aren't going to be jeopardized, right? Like you pay your fine, you spend your night in jail, you do your probation, you do your community service, and then you go back to work, right? Like kicking these kids off the football field, which in a lot of ways is their ticket out of circumstance. That's their, hopes and dreams and future careers. To have it end over something like that seems a bit harsh, in my opinion. Now, I understand everything is done for the safety of others, and when you're putting other people at risk, it needs to be taken seriously. I just, I understand that this has become a thing and you're trying to nip it in the bud, but you got competing objectives, right? Like you're trying to teach and train men and keep people safe, but you're also trying to field a winning team and balance a roster and personnel. And there's all these things, and you're trying to make the decision of like, what is the right punishment, right? What is the next step? What is the best for the kid, but also what is the best for the organization? And sometimes those things are conflicting. I wouldn't want Kirby's job, is what I'm saying. And we are talking about a sophomore in high school or a sophomore in college is a 19, 20-year-old.
Disagree wholeheartedly. He has a responsibility to the citizens around him to nip it in the bud. If they want to fumble the bag by not learning from those who went before them, the ones who died and the ones who have gotten in trouble before them, then that's on them, man. No one took their livelihood. No one made them drive that fast. I understand they're young and dumb. Cool. There has to be something done. And if it's setting the example by a harsh punishment, then that's what's got to be done. I don't think he should be finished, dude. Like, he cannot, it can't become a thing. It's going to wreck the program.
Yeah, I mean,
there's eventually going to be somebody else stepping in besides Kirby, and he's going to lose control of the situation. He definitely doesn't want that.
I also heard an interesting argument, and maybe we can move on to the next topic after your input, but at some point, someone on the team, like Kirby can do all he wants to. He can lay down the punishment. He can discipline, kick kids off the roster. But at the end of the day, some leader in that locker room needs to step up and say, enough is enough. Like, we have objectives that we want to achieve as a team, and we need to stop doing this dumb stuff. Because Kirby cannot babysit these guys 24/7.
Well, they can't be men who organize and someone steps up in the crowd to say, hey, knock it off. But also, knuckleheads that are just being young and dumb. On both sides of the fence. I don't think somebody can what a 20-year-old is gonna tell a 19-year-old, "Hey man, don't drive fast." No, the kids can't tell kids what to do. People probably told me not to drive fast. You know how many speeding tickets I got? A lot.
I
A lot.
didn't.
Uh, there you go.
I do think though, if you look at some of these past teams, a Jordan Davis or a N'Kobe or a Nolan Smith, those guys when they spoke out in the locker room, other guys listened, and I think having players that have been around for 4 or 5 years, right? Like the Stetson Bennett's, the 24, 25-year-olds that, are in their 5th, 6th year in college. Like those guys have progressed to a level of maturity that some of those kids look up to, especially the ones that are going to be, first, second round draft picks. Like they want to be those guys. So I do think that your peer, like your teammate, sometimes holds more weight. Like if you were to come to me and tell me to stop acting reckless, I feel like it would hit me harder than my father coming in and doing it.
He's not their dad, right? He's essentially, if we're looking at him as semi-pro athletes, he's their boss.
Yeah.
So if your boss says, "Hey," if I'm like, "Hey man, you should show up 2 minutes early for every meeting," you don't care. But if your boss tells you that you need to show up 2 minutes early every meeting, you're more likely to do it. He's their boss.
That's a fair
I'm sure
analogy.
some of them look at him as a father figure, but him saying something and laying down the law, it shouldn't. Obviously, you want buy-in from the seniors and the elder statesmen on the team, but they're buying in. They're not laying the law down.
I think it should be a combination of both.
Yeah. But the onus is on Kirby. I can't pick a player and be like, "Hey, you guys are the reason that Nitro Tuggle's off the team."
No.
Unless somebody let them borrow their car, right?
Well, the ultimate responsibility is Nitro Tuggle, right? Like, but when all is said and done, they say stuff rolls uphill. Kirby's gonna be the one that's having to answer for the problems.
Yeah, no, for sure. He can't correct it moving forward. That's the onus I'm putting on Kirby. He has to correct this moving forward. I don't think that.
What do you think? What do you think corrects it? Because you're assuming everything that he's already done.
I know nothing, but I know it keeps happening. So whatever he's done has not worked.
So
this is an annual thing.
It's
UGA player speeding, kicked off team.
Multiple times a year at this point. I think they've had 20. They've had 20 driving related incidents.
20 is crazy.
It's crazy.
Doesn't feel like he's doing anything.
But the sad truth is he's doing a lot and it's just not working.
You don't know either.
Oh yeah, we do.
Like I'm saying that he doesn't do anything. What you know is just what he said. Neither one of us are in the building to know.
No, I know not just what he has said, but what people around the program and people that report on the program have said that have knowledge of the things that they've done. Now, 100% it's not working. So the real question is like, at what point is something going to work? And obviously you got to keep trying things until something does work, because you got to fix it.
Fix it, man. Gotta fix it, and it's on Kirby to fix. That was my point. It's on Kirby to fix that. Man, we're on that road for a long time. BG Pops, Brittany Griner. I saw a little clip. We'll be brief on this one. I just thought it was cool. Lisa Leslie, one of the greatest hoopers to do it, was interviewing Brittany Griner, and she asked a question that was a poetic, I would say, because Lisa Leslie was the first woman to dunk in an WNBA game many moons ago. I think it was 2002. Brittany Griner obviously wasn't the first woman to dunk in the WNBA. She was, however, the first woman to dunk in Unrivaled, the new league that is women owned, women powered. I do think that's a super dope concept. It's not even a concept anymore. They brought it to life. So Brittany Griner, the first woman to dunk in Unrivaled, coming from Elisa Leslie, first woman to dunk in the WNBA. I thought that was pretty dope. That reminds. You sent me the Michael Jordan versus LeBron. Said LeBrinda James and LeBrinda James Jr. repeat 3 times as WNBA champions.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, now that was funny. But now that she's a dream, I want to pay a little more attention to Brittany Griner. I hadn't really heard a lot from her since she finally made it back from Russia, man. I'm glad she made it home. So I have a lot else to say on that. Just, shouting out another Atlanta athlete, another highway.
Yeah. I did get the pleasure of seeing Maya Moore dunk in person at a dunk contest for a high school basketball tournament when we were seniors. She took an alley-oop one-handed off her point guard, yam that thing. Very impressive, especially for like a 6'1" female. But
yeah. It's Leslie and Brittany Griner are much taller than Maya Moore. Oh man, I know she's fulfilled, and we've talked about it before. But man, I would have loved to see Maya Moore get the limelight that these other players have gotten, like Asia Wilson, even before her, right? Like Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi. Maya Moore would have crushed all of their accolades, but she, God gave her another purpose. So shout out to that.
Yeah, I also think it would be really dope to just see what her impact is on the current state of the game, right? Because the WNBA is in such a era of growth, and they're really, just reaching unprecedented levels. And it would have been cool just to see Maya and, how she would have added to that and elevated even where they are today. But, like you said, she's fulfilled in her purpose. I just had to throw out that note because, I always hear people talk about, well, the WNBA is boring and it's because they're not dunking and this and that. And to me, I don't really think that while it would be cool to see that part of the game change and adapt, I don't really feel that that's necessarily what the WNBA is missing.
It's not. Right. I think a high power shooter like Caitlin Clark does a lot of good. Not to say that she's the first person to be able to do that, but there was a point made. I don't know who the former player is that's on Gil's house, Gilbert Arenas' podcast. But she said she was commenting on something that Michael Porter Jr. said. He was talking about that, right? I think Shaq has said it as well. Lower the rim so they can dunk. She was like, okay, so you lower the rims, but then we can't shoot because we've been shooting on 10-foot goals our entire life.
Yeah, she also said some mess about Michael Porter Jr. not dunking, and then,
he doesn't dunk a whole lot.
Not a lot, but
he can put one away.
He still yams it from time to time.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, that clip is what I was thinking about specifically.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, shout out Brittany Griner. Congratulations on being the first woman to dunk in the Unrivaled League. We'll see how long that league, if it has legs and, if there's some growth there. I definitely agree. It's a dope concept / reality, right? In their inaugural season. But yeah, shout out Brittany Griner. She is a dream.
One inaugural season to another, man. The TGL. We got a championship, Atlanta. We got one, baby. The Atlanta Drive. Perfect for a Spaghetti Junction segment. Won the inaugural season of the TGL. So I've seen clips I've never watched a full match, but I did some reading on it, and they were saying how like that arena that they play in. I wanted to go to one. I'm like, man, I wonder where do they set these up? And there's only one. They play them all at a SoFi built arena out in Cali, and it's specifically customized for this sport. So they kind of went all in more than I thought they did.
Yeah, I saw some. So I haven't watched any of the actual games, just to be clear. But I did matches, whatever. But I did see like a behind the scenes kind of tour of the playing arena, and there's some cool tech to it with how they incorporated the it's basically video game golf, right? Like it's simulation golf, but they can adjust the greens and they can do all this manipulation on the real surface to add an additional layer to the game, which I think is cool. And I think it did decently well in terms of ratings. I think they averaged, I think it was 900,000 viewers, which if you compare to some of the biggest watched football games in college this year, like those had 14 million viewers. So I mean, it's a big difference, but I still think, yeah, I still think 900,000 to a million in its peak is not anything to laugh at. So I think they did pretty well, and for the Atlanta Drive to be the inaugural champions, I think that's awesome. I was gonna ask you, like, what do you think this does in terms of the curse, the city of Atlanta's championship curse? We've got a World Series, we've got 2 Georgia national championships, we got an Atlanta United MLS Cup, and we now have a TGL championship in the last, since 2017, I guess 2018 or 19 was the MLS Cup. So in like a 7-year span, we've got a few championships.
Only 2 of those matter. MLS Cup and the World Series. The other ones matter, right?
To me, the dogs matters probably the most.
And the dogs. So I don't. The curse is broken. It's just who's gonna be the last person over the hump? Will it be the Hawks or will it be the Falcons? I have no idea at this point.
I think probability-wise, the Falcons will win one before the Hawks. That's just my take. But interestingly, Arthur Blank owns both United and TGL. And
does he own the TGL team?
Yeah, he does.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he has 2 championships. I know he would kill for a Super Bowl.
And trade them both 10 times over for a Super Bowl championship.
Yeah, probably. Super Bowl, right? But because he is the owner, right, there were some fun clips at the finals where Michael Penix was actually present to watch. And there's a really funny clip of Arthur Blank introducing Michael Penix and Michael Vick. Did you see the clip?
Yeah, Mike meeting Mike. They both had comments. It was cool. I liked it. They're both left-handed. Vic made that point. I thought him saying that Michael Penix was a lot more accurate. He's like, yeah, you got one quarterback who's a lot more accurate was a big compliment coming from him, because his Atlanta Falcons days, he had a lot of drops. It wasn't that he was inaccurate. That thing has some zip to it, man. Like Algie Crumpler, I just remember him dropping so many balls. Him and Michael Jenkins.
He threw that thing with some sauce.
Oh yeah, had some heat on it for sure. But then Michael Penix coming back and say, yeah, one of them ran a lot better than the other one too. I thought that was cool. and well, he felt it seemed like he was comfortable, right, eating his nachos there with his billionaire boss and his future Hall of Fame predecessor.
Yeah.
It was cool. Yeah.
What I kind of took note of was kind of the awkward nature in which Arthur introduces him. He says something like, Michael, I want you to meet, another former quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. It's like, you got to be born, I don't know what the saying is, but under a rock. You got to live under a rock if you're a quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons and you don't know who Michael Vick is, right? Like, I just thought it was funny and awkward, just kind of the way that old Arthur made the introduction.
That's the word. I was thinking like this, like somebody's granddad trying to, get his grandson a friend. Right? Hey, Michael, meet Michael. Like, no, I know Michael. We went to school together. He coaches my football team, right?
Right.
Some silly old man antics. He probably thought it was funny.
Yeah, but it's cool. I think, I don't know. We don't live in another city, but I think it's real cool how Atlanta sports teams, clubs, support one another, right? Like having Vic and Penix at the TGL to watch the finals, all the gear that they give each other to support the teams. You see on game day, players from one team wearing the other team's jerseys and things like that. I just think it's real cool how the city kind of gets together and is united, at least on the sports franchises, and how they honor one another. It's real cool.
Yeah, we touched on that 2 weeks ago, talking about the spike, right? How like the stars from the other teams have all done it. And then I looked up a video that I was supposed to tag. I didn't do it. CeeLo made the inaugural video of the spike. Did you know that?
I knew he was a big United fan, but I did not know that he made the video.
I'll still tag that. I'm gonna tag that in the older video and let y'all know. This was not on the bingo card. Arthur Blank's wife. She is 57. He's 82.
I mean, so
Bill Belichick, that's where I'm going. His rude girlfriend is 24 years old. And Bill is, I think he's 76.
Yeah, he's old. I was gonna say Bill's doing it better, but I'm tired of seeing that 28-3 nonsense. We're past 28-3 or 3-28. We're past March 28th, so we'll let that one ride.
Well, she I'm just playing. It is it's not amusing, but it's to see these old men with these young women. It's just kind of like, what? I guess that's the thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Won't be our thing, though.
I'm a one woman man.
Yeah, we're gonna have our old wives when we're old.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Well,
this has been another episode, segment, whatever you want to call it, a Spaghetti Junction, news that you can use. We appreciate all y'all listening. Hit that like, subscribe, rate, review, leave us a comment, and follow us on our socials. We got Players Ball Pod at Instagram and TikTok. I hope y'all have seen the most recent kind of reels, promos, videos, TikToks our social media manager has put out there. They're a must watch. So appreciate y'all listening and can't wait to see you in the next one.
Go Tetas Rangers.
Peace.